is to that bar, which goes to the brake. So you see. Well, you saw in the last video that we got the brakes working, and I was pretty excited about that. That's been a tough road to get the brakes bled out really well. And they're working pretty well, and I say pretty well just because it's a lot of vehicle and the brakes haven't been used in a long time, so they just need to be used, and they'll seat in a little bit better. But that hydrovac was tough to get done. One of the things that makes the brakes harder to do is or harder to function and do what they're supposed to is not having the inching valve. So I talked about the inching valve in a previous video, but what I'm going to do today is I'm going to get under the forklift and I'm going to measure up for the inching valve. I've got some ideas on what I'm going to do, and hopefully they'll work. But if they do, then the inching valve, as I've stated before, when you release it, in this case you release it, it actually allows the fluid that's being pumped through the transmission to bypass the drive system, and so it's not driving the transmission forward. So when you're braking, you're basically using a form of a clutch that most of us would know, and the result of that is you can keep the RPMs up, you can keep your foot on the gas, and when you brake, it releases the pressure, or it bypasses the pump pressure. The vehicle will stop, the forklift will stop, keep the RPMs up, so you can still run the forks, and you can run the forks and you can turn and do all sorts of things. And the other thing with the inching valve is, as you let the brakes back out, you are slowly re-engaging the pump back into the transmission, and that literally will allow you to inch along in the forklift, which is why they call it an inching valve. So with that said, I'm going to grab some tools. We're going to crawl underneath the forklift. We're going to look at what's down there and come up with a game plan and see if we can't make a linkage for the inching valve. So here we go. So this bar right here is the inching valve, or the lever for the inching valve. When this goes forward, that goes back, releases the valve, allows the pump pressure to bypass the drive system, and it allows you to stop the forklift easier, like I said up above. So this has to connect to this, which, sorry, that's in the this is the brake lever, or the brake pedal. What I'm planning on doing is pulling this pin, putting a longer pin in it, and this longer pin will then have a bar that goes straight back and in. I don't know if you can see that in right there. It's hard to see. So I'm going to take some measurements and see what I can make, and I'm going to pull this. Sorry about that, that was fast. I'm going to pull that pin out. The first thing I need to do is to figure out the linkage that will go between the brake pedal and the inching valve lever. There's going to be a little bend in it, and it is offset, so I've got to do a little figuring to get it around the throttle linkage, and then to get everything to line up the way I want it to. I tried this pin on the back in where the brake lever goes, and it's just ever so slightly too big, so I'm going to just take a few thousandths off. This isn't precise. I'm just going to take a little bit off and just keep trimming it until I get a good fit on it. We're getting there, not quite. Just taking small bites. Look at that. Beautiful. That will be a good enough fit for what I'm using it for. So let's take this off. Just trimmed a little bit off. Now that will slide in. I'll drill a hole in the very end of this so that I can get a pin through it, or a cotter pin through it, and I'll do another one on this end so I can cotter pin both sides, and then I'll run my bar through this end. That'll give me the room that I need to get the bar to line up with it, with the inching valve lever. So let's go drill some holes. Good morning. Last night I got the measurements on the forklift for the inching valve, the base measurements. Turned down this little rod to be able to slide in where the pin was that held the brake pedal onto the brake cylinder actuator, the plunger, I guess you'd call it. So I've got that done. Today I'm gonna drill a hole in the end of this. I'm gonna take this, drill a hole here, then that'll be the assembly that goes on the brake lever. I'm gonna measure down here the 25 inches, probably go about 26, 27 inches. And then I'm going to slot this out, and then I'm going to make some holes where I think I need to be. And then I'm going to put a bolt in it, and we're going to get started and see if I can get enough movement on the inching valve to where it will release the dry pressure with the pump. So that's going to be a little give or take, because the throw of the brake pedal may be less than the throw that I need to disengage the transmission completely. So I'm going to look at that. That'll be a little guesstimating. I may have to move some things up or down on the lever for the inching valve, but I'm just going to have to try it. It's just kind of guessing on the full movement of that. So I'm going to jump into this, start drilling some holes, and crawl back underneath the forklift and start putting things together. So here we go. Now it's time to do the initial fit of the inching valve linkage, and as you can see, I'm running into the throttle linkage, and I'm going to have to make some bends to get that to fit the way I want it to. So I'm going to come up probably somewhere right around in there, and I'm going to try to bend this and angle it up. This may not work very well. I may end up needing to use some solid rod and weld this. Alright, so off camera, I tried this bend, took it out to the forklift, and it's a little too steep, so too close to 90. I'm going to lessen that up a little bit, and then bend another one over here on the press, and take it back out, give it a fit. Although I do have a feeling that the pipe's now going to be too short. Pretty sure of that. But that's okay. I will go down and I'll get another one to try to get a proof of concept done, and then I'll end up doing something in tube or something like that. But for now, this will work. Okay, that will be a little less of an angle, which I don't think this will get me over the top, but it's going to get me really close. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to test it, and I'll be back. I will say this, sometimes it is better to be lucky than good. I just bent this and it actually works perfectly. It will work just fine, although I did elongate that hole a little bit. So I'm going to re-drill that, and then should be able to get in there with the pin. Yep, pin fits through. I'm going to take all this out now and mark where I need to make the holes down on this end. I'm glad I cut it long. Okay, that's in. Now I may put another bend right up in here, and I think I will. So that this, well, that's where it's going to sit. Somewhere right in there. I think that actually works. Okay, so now I literally have no idea if this is showing or not. I'm just guessing. Pure guessing. So it's going to go right up here. And that's kind of its spot. That's going to be super tight. I'm probably going to open up the end that I bent already a little bit to give me some height, and then bend it back down here. I'm going to go do that. All right. I put opened this bend up a little bit and put another one there, so hopefully I end up with about the same end result. And we're about to find out. Oh yeah. So I'm going to put the pin back in over here. I don't know if you can see that. I don't think you can, but I'm going to slide the pin in. Remark it. Okay. Pin is in. Plenty of clearance. I don't know if you can see that up in here. It's really tight in here. But plenty of clearance. And now I'm going to mark the bolt. See if I can see it. Yeah, this is really sketchy movement because I'm moving it upside down and backwards. So that right there. So because I've already marked this once, I want to try to see new marks. So I'm gonna put a little black marker on that. Stick this bolt through, which I doubt you can see because it's up behind this filler tube here. Pull that out of the way. All right. I think that is going to give me a good enough mark to be... I'm gonna move this around. So this, here, do it here. This is gonna go into this lever arm, but it's gonna straddle it. There will be a hole in there. It'll straddle it, and then when I push the brake pedal forward, it will drive this whole bar forward, which will open up the inching valve. And that is exactly what I wanted. So now I'm gonna go inside, drill this, or drill the holes on that, make the adjustments that I need, and then come back out and do the final pin drilling for here. Well, I'm back under the forklift once again, and I believe this time we're going to be doing a test fit. Well, we are. I am. It's just a matter of, is it going to work? So now I'm going to come down here to the other end and bolt this together. I don't think there's any way humanly possible that I get everything through with the bolt on the other side. Although I do need well, this is curious because it looks like it's going to fit better. Well, it can't fit better like that. I was going to say it fits better if I have this on the outside, but I really can't. This has got to be at a bit of an angle. This bolt is going to be way too long. So I'm going to go grab a shorter bolt and also some washers and see if I can't crimp this thing up. I'll be back in a few minutes. Well, I'm back under one more time, and I'm really hoping that this is the last time. Got my holes drilled so that I can put this together, tighten it down, and then when I release, I've actually got this tied off up above. You can't see it, but I've got it tied so the valve is completely closed and it's spring loaded. So it's going to push the bottom of the valve this way and potentially push the brake forward. If I do, then I'm going to have to put a spring on it, and which I've got some, I think. But for now, let's just try to get this thing together. All right, that's going to work. All right, I'm back, and yes, I'm going to do something really hanky here. I'm going to put a bunch of washers on this end. Boy, that doesn't need much. And then it's just absolutely perfect. This is going pretty well, actually. I'll get that off. I'm going to drill a couple more holes. in this pen, come back, put this together, and see what happens. I'll be back. So I've got this, the front pinned off. Now I'm going to bolt this up here. Kind of this jerry-rigged bolt nut craziness setup that will get me where I need to be. There we go. It's on. Don't want to over tighten this so that it just binds up. Okay. All right, that's moving nicely. Okay, so everything is now set up. I've got the rod in. Let's take a look here. Rod starts up there, goes into the brake pedal. As soon as you push the brake pedal forward, it's gonna push this rod forward. This rod comes back here to the inching valve, and it will move the inching valve forward, and as it moves this lever forward, it is releasing the valve, which then bypasses the hydraulic or the transmission fluid that is being pumped through the transmission, allowing it to stop easier. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, I don't think you can see them, there's wires right up here, right there. I'm going to cut those wires, and we're going to see if this moves the if it moves the valve. I kind of expect it will, and it did a little bit. So it did. It moved it ever so slightly, but I don't think it moved it enough to make a difference. So I'm going to pull the wires out up here. All right, so now we're going to go up top and give this thing a test. All right, so this is going to be the first test of the inching valve. I don't know that it's going to move far enough. I may need a little more articulation on it, which might be changing the linkage up some, but we'll see. Might need to move it up. There's some changes I can make, but let's give it a try. That humming that you hear is the transmission. Has a separate external filter, and so that's what you're hearing. Is you're hearing that thing hum, probably just vibrating. Okay, so here's the good news. I'm not moving. I've got the brake on. I'm taking the brake off. I have a feeling that I need to move that back. So I think the inching valve, it's staying open a little bit. Yeah, it's staying open a little bit. And I'm going to need to adjust that. Alright. The good news is, at this point, just that little bit, that inching valve actually actually is enough that it's working. You gotta go forward, you don't want to hit the trailer. Yeah, a little adjustment on the engine valve. See, it's taking it a second to kind of kick in. That actually is not a big deal to fix, I don't think. But yeah, it stops it really nicely. I can keep the RPMs up. Alright, well I consider that a success. I just have to get some springs on it to pull it back a little bit. Do the final adjustments, and we should be good to go. So I'm going to make some adjustments, and I'll come back and test it in a while. So as I said earlier, a little while ago, been actually about an hour, hour and a half, that lever, what you're going to see is right here. That lever attaches to that bar, which goes to the brake. So you see, when I push on the brakes, it moves that lever. Well, that lever was not going back on the top. It wasn't going all the way forward, which is completing the circuit. So you'll see that I put those springs, and I put a U-clamp on there, pulled it down tight, and now when I try to move this, it won't go forward any farther. So it's all the way forward, which means that it should be fully engaged and running. It should put full pump pressure through the transmission. So I'm going to set the camera back up, and we're going to take it for a ride, see how it works. All right, be back. Fans on, fuel pumps on. Okay. Parking brakes off. We're going to put it in low gear, or in low, yeah, low gear, and then we're going to have to go forward. So right now, you can't see it, but it's actually in gear. Just moved a little bit there because I brought the forks up. So now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let off the brake, which will put the clutch on, and it engages. So it turns. Now when I push the clutch back, push the brake back in, it instantly disengages the transmission and does exactly what it's supposed to. So now I'm going to go back. I'm going to let off the brake, and it immediately jumps into gear. So it is now the parking brakes off, and I have, it's in low gear, neutral. If I push off the brake, if I put it into gear, or if I push this forward, so this is low, high, low, neutral, high, this is forward and reverse. If I push this in forward right now, it's going to jump. See how it jumps? And it goes. So now, I'm going to put this in gear. So I'm in gear, and because the brake is pushed, I don't know if you can see that, let off the brake, and it'll run, and it stops. So I can gas it up. I'm going to put it in reverse. So it's in reverse, let off the brake, the engine gear connects, and it goes in, and it works just fine. it is working exactly like it's supposed to. All right, everything looks fine. Let's go for a little bit of a drive. Not much. Drive down the road. Low gear, forward, and we're driving. Yeah. And the problem I run into without the engine gear is that you can't run the engine while it's engaged and turn, because it's hydraulics on the turn. So now I can push this in. I can turn the wheel hard, really hard, and then I can let go. And you see it pretty much on itself. That's not too bad going up the hill. Whoop. Probably going to run off there. Spray it around. Now I can come down in here. So now I'm still in here. I'm going to swing it around. Push in the brake. Okay. I'll admit, I'm like a little kid in a candy shop right now. This is way too much fun. I have Forklift runs, which means I can now run my projects. That I was really excited about. So, Forklift runs. It's still got some more work that I need to do to it. Got to get the fuel gauge running. The fuel tank's got to get fixed or replaced. Clean up some of the wiring. There's just a bit of work that needs to be done on it. Power meter's not working, getting the lights wired up, but it works. I can put this to work now. So, stay tuned, because I'm going to be starting another project, and just happens to be one of the military trucks. So, hopefully we'll see you on the next one, and you have an amazing day. Bye now.